All right, take two. Let's go. This week, Wrathcon's shocking finale, absolutely necessary site policy changes, we promise, and Kelsey's work gets dethroned as Fantem's favorite adaptation. Since our last episode, Elon Musk's daughter Vivian tore him a new asshole on social media after he tried to publicly shame her for being trans. Quote, "I don't concern myself with the opinions of those who are below me. Obviously, Elon can't say the same because in a ketamine-fueled haze, he's desperate for attention and validation from an army of degenerate red-pilled incels and pygmies who are ready to give it to him. Go touch some fucking grass." And just to pour salt in the wound, she posted this on Threads.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Nolan, the K is silent, and this is SCP Weekly.
Before we get into our last 2 weeks, we need to make a correction. In November of last year, we reported that Fish to the 12th got angry and abused their staff powers. This was not correct. Fish to the 12th was actually on the receiving end of that exchange. Fishish was the party who abused their staff powers and ultimately received the ban. We apologize for that. We were only made aware of that since anybody can send us a correction. Our contact info is in the show notes. We just ask that you please send receipts if possible. And Fish to the 12th, please let us know where we can send the fruit basket. What have we been up to for the last 2 weeks?
Mainly just working, finding fulfillment in that new job, working with, kids and clients, and while working on getting that RBT certification in between. It's exhausting, but it's also most likely the most fulfilling job that I've had.
That's good to hear. Yep, I'm getting a new roof. Spending an entire day signing contracts for that. Yep. Gonna go solar.
Hell yeah.
Just
for context, listeners, if you can't tell, this is our second take because we were halfway through the script before we realized, fuck me, we haven't been recording this whole time. So if we seem a bit frustrated or tired, there you go.
Or just like, oh, we're going to have this conversation again?
Wow, we got to act like this is the first time we're talking about this.
Oh
wow.
My God, Nolan had just finished pouring his heart out. And I was like, I got to say something that I regret so much right now.
Don't worry. I'm a great actor. I can get that out again.
I believe you. Oh, we'll talk about some of your acting here later on in the episode too, man. You're doing some gigs.
Probably.
Let's roll into On-Site then.
Hell yeah. On July 25th, Rounder House posted to the O5 forums. The disciplinary team has been caught in a mire of dysfunction for a long time now. The role of captain has been vacant for nearly 2 years, and the role of vice captain was functioning as acting captain until mid-2023. When that also became vacant. Since then, the 2 leadership roles in the team have been empty, and along with other factors like near-constant high-complexity cases and a poor drive for recruitment, have contributed to a slow but clear decline in team function. Cases are missed, reports are taken and not followed up on, actions are decided upon but then no one executes them. A lack of leadership means there is no central figure making sure things are done and that admins and other teams are kept in the loop. The reality of the disciplinary team is that 50% of the work comes from 90% of the cases. The standard daily banality of revoking spammers, vandals, trolls, etc. The other 50% of the work comes from the other 10%. Relatively infrequent cases that involve a number of high-profile community members often making disciplinary complaints about each other, or whose behavior crosses the line in some way that means the disciplinary team cannot blindly make a call and leave the consequences for later. Having one person as team captain handling 100% of the cases is a recipe for burnout. They can't focus on the first class of cases because of the second, and they can't focus on the second because of the first. Splitting it up distributes duties across the 2 new captains evenly and allows them to handle their business effectively. Rounder has proposed the following as a solution. abolish the roles of captain and vice captain, and replace them with 2 new roles to be called duty captain and special captain. The duty captain will dedicate their attention to daily duties of the disciplinary team and will implement a system to keep track of open cases and allow team members to easily determine and change the status of a case. The special captain will dedicate their attention to particularly complex or delicate cases involving high-profile community members and PAIs, cases that demand a thought-out approach and beyond thorough investigation, and will remain in close contact with both the administrative team and the anti-harassment team to determine the complex cases are being handled with all discretion and cases are not being forgotten when passed between the teams. There is further discussion in the thread on the extent of the disciplinary team's reach in the off-site spaces, overlap with AHT cases, and mirroring 19 board bans on site. Link to the thread is in the show notes.
On July 28th, Prismal posted, to an extent, many currently believe that the donation policy's current intent is to disallow commissions, even if it's not written explicitly. That's apparently not the case, but nonetheless, from previous discussions, it seems that a majority of staff members are for barring the posting of commissioned writing on the wiki. Prismal goes on to pose questions regarding the definition of commissioned writing, whether commissioned writing should be outright banned from the wiki, and if choosing to ban commissioned works, should the wiki grandfather existing works. In the comments, Rounderhouse recused himself from the discussion for openly accepting commissions for writing. Uncle Nicolini commented, the problem is corporations buying their way into SCP, which has been happening over the last few years. I won't name names, but it's not hard to find if one goes, this is what I personally want to see banned. Ori Tiefling said, my thoughts on this begin and end at corporate entities should not have the ability to commission community members to post writing designed to promote the entity's interests in some way. Estrella Yashti added, aside from things we may need clarifications on, like not allowing ghostwriting due to attribution and stuff, this is a self-resolving issue because of the voting system. If the community decides that a piece is artistically valid enough to upvote and have it stay on the site, aside from already against site rules reasons like plagiarism, then that's that. Staff is not responsible for any financial transaction between users, and thus should not impose any additional rules on such, except maybe an explicit disclaimer, requirement for a paid commission in the info box or something. All followed by several comments suggesting that if commissioned works are not banned, that they should be identified as commissions. Thoughts? Would this policy have more of an impact on writing or art? Tell us what you think in the comments on Twitter at SCP Weekly. Do you have any thoughts on that, Nolan?
Honestly, keep corporations out of SCP. You know? As far as I'm aware of this situation, that's just, that's my view of it, If, authors and all of them want to do, financial exchanges, do commissions between themselves, perfectly fine. But keep those motherfuckers in corporate entities and whatever the fuck out of this space. This is not a place for them. It has never been a place for them. They can go fuck themselves.
Agreed. Yep. I know there's a few authors out there that have Ko-Fis and Patreons, and that's what my concern would be. Like, if the rules aren't designed the right way, then let's say you have an artist who takes a commission for an SCP related work and not to be posted on the wiki, not associated with the commission, but then they decide that they wanted to take their work that was commissioned and then post it on the wiki. Well, what do we do with that? It was, let's say all commissioned works are banned. Well, this was a commissioned work, but it wasn't commissioned specifically for the wiki. That's why I think the discussion is very important around this topic, because you could easily make a rule that has those, that hidden spell in the background that kind of screws over people that you didn't intend to screw over. So I appreciate that they're talking about this and having a thorough discussion. And if anybody wants to join in that discussion or check out the entire thing, that link as well is in the show.
On July 30th, Quirius posted, "It was recently raised to admin that currently there are no restrictions on what members of staff are able to become vice captains for a team. As you can see in the junior staff guide, junior staff have listed restrictions, the most relevant being junior staff cannot be team captains. The existing policy, however, does not explicitly state that junior staff cannot be vice captains within a team. The potential issue arises in the event of a situation where a junior staff is the only vice captain, and their team captain disappears or is otherwise removed from their role. Standard practice says that the vice captain of a team becomes the team captain. This would be an issue given that junior staff cannot hold the seat of captain. Therefore, if we were to allow junior staff as vice captains, this could potentially create issues. The first proposed solution is to update policy to state that junior staff cannot be vice captains, in addition to the restriction on serving as captain. The second proposed solution is to update policy to state that a junior staff may serve as vice captain for a team only if there is another vice captain of at least operational staff or higher. A third option is to not amend policy and allow for this oversight to serve as an airbud rule, where it is not expressly prohibited for a junior staff member to become a vice captain. Quirius followed up the initial post with this caveat, quote, "To begin, I want to disclose the following as it fully influences my opinion on this matter. I am currently working on a drafted policy proposal that will result in myself becoming a VC of Discord Critique, while currently being junior staff." Some of the more seasoned site staff commented, referencing unfortunate incidents in the past that directly resulted from junior staff being thrust into captaincy positions before gaining the experience and maturity required of the position. Much of the discussion centers on the weight of the discretion team captains have to manage their junior staff versus the letter of the policy.
Listen to those guys that are bringing up those concerns, because those were straight up not good times. In those situations where there were people who were put into positions of team captaincy as a matter of necessity because basically they were the only guy left standing in the room, and it was not a good time. They got burned out. They were just overwhelmed with, not in bad faith. They were trying to do the best job that they could, but they just didn't have the capability to do it. They didn't have the experience necessary. And in some cases, the maturity. And in those instances where it was a maturity issue, it was really bad. Listen to those, and when you're crafting that policy, please. And again, anybody who wants to join that discussion, links in the show notes. Wrathcon has ended, and Croquembouche emerged victorious. Their article, Live Camera Feed of Site 69, Where Everything is Fine, conquered the 37-article Dogpile Contest. But wait, there's more. In what could be described as both an act of solidarity and an S-tier power move, Croquembouche immediately self-deleted their article, which overtook articles from SCP Longtimers Radiger, Calibold, Anorak, Uncle Nicolini, and others. Congratulations and rip to all the amazing articles from the con. Now it's time to post those screenshots for science. They're going to hit the market like a pirated Taylor Swift video. What were your favorites? Can you remember them?
What's going on with news skips and tales these last 2 weeks?
Since last episode, there are 18 new SCP articles and 28 new tales. 30% more tales than there are. Almost 50%, actually. 50% more tales than there are SCP articles. What a change in the tides.
Yeah,
love to see it.
It's a good time for tales now.
Yeah, you got some favorites. I know you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was the halfway point that we got to before realizing that we weren't recording. So hopefully we can keep that energy here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The first one I would say is SCP-8593, Pasta with Pazul by Plague PJP. This was probably... No, I think it was the most recent one on this list of... just being made a few days ago, as time of recording. And I can't really describe all that happens in the article without taking away due justice to Plague's writing. What I will say is
Plague
that...
has been on fire lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Plague.
Yeah. Cooking.
Cocoon with Fazool. That's what this is. But yeah, it's a anomalous cooking show with a real human host, in air quotes, making some real batshit crazy meals and seeing what happens as the result. Again, I can't really describe more than that about what happens. You'll just need to read it for yourself. I highly recommend it. Again, that's SCP 8593 by Plague PJP. A second one that I've had as a favorite for the last 2 weeks is SCP 8668, Legally Speaking, A Good Girl by Aura Tiefling. This is one that has, on the surface, seemingly like a comedic kind of premise, but ends more in tragedy and heartache. I actually don't remember if this was a Wrathcon article or not. It would have fit the theme ultimately by the end.
Ori did submit to Wrathcon.
Yeah, I know Ori submitted to Wrathcon, but I can't remember if it was this one or another one. But either way, it's a great story of essentially this like small town in Oklahoma, I believe it was, has essentially for like the last 150 or so years of its existence has had a dog as mayor. It's not just like, oh, they're like changing out dogs every few years when one gets too old. No. It's the same dog that's been alive for over 150 years acting as mayor.
Man.
It doesn't talk. It doesn't walk on its hind legs. It acts just like a regular fucking dog. The thing is, besides it seemingly being immortal, is that it regurgitates these pieces of paper with these kind of law proposals that it's having for the town. And the town always goes through with it. I can't remember if it said it was like a compulsory effect, or maybe it was just because like the townspeople just decided to go through with it. But every law that happens ultimately ends up benefiting the town in some way, of whether it's a natural disaster, saying like, oh, there's flooding in the area, but the new law that was enacted in place prevented any of the floodwaters from entering the town and damaging infrastructure, hitting any people's homes. Or if it's like, oh, there's economic downturn going on in the country, but these new laws in place will make sure that the economy for the town is always in a good area for everyone living there. And you would think that it's like, okay, that's weird, but that doesn't necessarily seem bad. Not to the Foundation, because they think that's case enough to contain the dog and take her away from the town. And by doing that, and the town not having the laws that it's being given, that it's still regurgitating out, the town begins to suffer because of that. It gets starting hit with the natural disaster. It starts getting hit with economic downturn. And the Foundation, keeps denying these laws to keep going forward. Even when it regurgitates laws saying to, like, by law, making the Foundation release it, the Foundation just has their lawyers find loopholes within these that keep the dog contained and ultimately not fulfill what it's asking. And it ends ultimately with the town absolutely being devastated. Of essentially the town doesn't even exist anymore because of so much destruction and chaos that happened since the dog wasn't there to help implement the laws to keep the town safe and prosperous. And now it ends with an entire town essentially wiped off the map. And now this dog, who only generally seemed to just want to help the people of its town, is now left without a home. And it's because now it stops regurgitating out laws and it just, sits there in its containment cell, because what else is there to do?
Quirky to tragedy real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, Ori is great at doing that, especially with like ones that they've written, like 7999, which is another fucking brilliant story that I would highly recommend people read.
It's another, like, the opposite of A Different Phoenix, the Drowning Dutchman story about the dog that comes up through like the Nazi version of the SCP Foundation over in Europe, and then and has a redemption ending. It was awesome. This sounds like the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Love to hear the doggo stories.
Yeah. But the third one that I would cover is a tale by Trout Mask Replica called The Son You Love. This was originally a Wrathcon entry that they put out, that they've since, re-edited it a bit, like reworked a little bit of it, just so that it's different enough from the original Wrathcon version. But the story and the theme remains the same. Of essentially, the person that seems to be writing this story is a trans man, and they're giving the feelings that they've had of, their mother, their caregiver, just completely rejecting who they are from the moment that, they came out about it, that they were open about it, and that they tried to, be vulnerable with their parents about it. And it's a short, but it's a very, very powerful writing depicting these feelings of knowing that the person who was supposed to take care of you, the person who was sole responsibility towards you was to simply love you and care for you, doesn't. Because there have been parents out there who would say that, like, in these kind of situations of being like, oh, it doesn't matter what you are, you're still my kid, which in some cases, can be reassuring, but the way that they say it can drastically affect people. Because, say in this case, the writer comes out and says, I'm not a girl, like, I'm actually, a boy, like, this is who I am. I don't feel comfortable with, the identity I was given from my life up to this point. Like, I feel like this is who I am. And the parent responding by saying, like, oh, that doesn't matter, you'll always be my little girl to me. Like, the parents in that point might genuinely think they're saying this from a place of love, but to the child, that is absolutely not the case. Like,
yep, that was the question that I had earlier. The first time around, was the parent in the story, like, intentionally disacknowledging the child's chosen gender identity, or was it it's not a thing that matters to me type?
It was more so of, like, actually disavowing their child's identity.
Okay.
And it's completely refusing to acknowledge or being willing to acknowledge that, this is who their child is. More so in the fact that, like, no, I'm your parent, I'm your mother, I know what's best for you, I know the real you. Which 9 times out of 10 is just, no, they don't. They have an idealized version of their child in their head, the version that they want their child to be. Like, saying, like, oh, you're gonna be this, you're gonna be that, and it's gonna be great, and I get to brag to everyone about it. But to the kid, they just want to live their life. Like, yes, they're growing up, they're a kid, they're young. You would say, like, oh, they don't know anything. Exactly. They don't. They're still trying to find out who they are. And by doing that, coming out to someone that they're supposed to trust, like their caretaker, their parent, that is a very pivotal moment for them, because this can either really help them in their journey, or it can very much be a source of pain for them. And more often than not, at least in America, it has been a source of pain. Like, people would ask, like, oh, why do, it's like, oh, you can always tell me anything. You can always come out to me. You can always talk to me about this. No, the fuck they can't. Because so many stories in this country of kids and young adults coming out to their parents about this, whether it's like they're trans or they're queer or anything like that, they almost always get met with opposition. Thankfully, more so, it seems to be like parents are actually learning and being like, oh, I see this. I might not understand it, but I know this is your journey and I want to be there with you and support you in that. A lot of people growing up, and even still today, don't get to have that. And I know I didn't get to have that. And I'm not going to go through it again because I've already explained it on the show before about my own relationship with my mother. But a relationship with your parents can be complicated, to say the least, because they can do terrible shit to you. They could, reject you. They can throw you out of the house. They can treat you like complete, utter dog shit. And you know that they don't deserve your affection. They don't deserve your respect because they haven't shown you any. Why should you give that to them? And yet there's still that small part of you that holds on and says that I still love them. Even maybe saying like, I still want them to love me. I still want that affection from them, even though you know that's never going to happen, that person is never going to change. They're unwilling to change. And Trout really gave that here. It's very powerful. It's very short, like I said, but it's extremely powerful. And I really want to give a shout out to Trout for giving that kind of writing. Yeah. Again, that tale is The Son You Love by Trout Mask Replica. It can be very heavy, depending on your own experiences. It can get you maybe a bit emotional, maybe stir up feelings, but I highly recommend that this is something that people should read.
Sounds like it. I'm going to check that one out. Before we head off into offsite news, I want to go back to Wrathcon real quick. Have you seen the Wrathcon graveyard?
I have, yeah.
That's like, I encourage anybody. I wanted to check it out before we moved on, just to see like what was on the Wrathcon page. Did the entire hub page get nuked? No, it absolutely did not. And Suzit did an amazing job with the design of the Wrathcon hub, and that's who's credited at the bottom of this page. If anybody else is involved in this Wrathcon graveyard, I'll obviously send us a message, shoot us a message on Twitter or our email and let me know. But as of right now, that's the only person that's credited on the page itself. But this is at first glance, it just looks like a bunch of headstones, but each one has its own inscription. And they're really, really well done, really thought out, really heartfelt, and really pay a great tribute to the authors and the articles that they posted for the con. So if you get a chance to swing by the Wrathcon page, check out that Wrathcon graveyard. It literally feels like walking through a graveyard and reading the headstones. Like, that's the very, very well done. Thank you guys for the effort that you put into that.
All right, with that heaviness out of the way, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with off-site news.
Dr. Gray, what are you doing here?
Intern, I thought no one came to this closet. So this is where I go to read my real crazy fan fiction. And what's that you're reading?
It's, well, you're not dangerous, so I guess I can tell you. This is Confinement. It's a comic series. It's about a guy named Connor who responds when he dies.
Really? That just sounds like a whole lot of bung to me.
It's absolutely not. It's actually really good, but I've been keeping it a secret for now. I don't want Dr. Bucket to get any ideas on dangerous tests he can make me do. Connor can afford to die, but not me.
Wow, that sounds excitingly veil-breaking. Do you know where I can get one?
Thanks for asking, Monica. All you need to do is look up SCP Confinement Kickstarter, and the pre-order page should be the first result. And even if you can't get in on the pre-orders, the comic will be for sale on the unredacted Etsy store after the Kickstarter ends.
Awesome! I'm already so excited to get mine. Oh, maybe I can show them to Grim.
Between 7 to 9% of people are estimated to fear deep water. Even for those without full-fledged thalassophobia, oceans and rivers and lakes can easily become a source of terror. But water is everywhere. In the plumbing of your homes, in what you eat and drink, inside your own body. Water falls from the sky and runs beneath the ground. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. Water will seep through the cracks and into the walls and make itself a part of the very air you breathe. That 9% is right. Water is to be feared, and you can never escape from it. Waterlogged is a short-form horror anthology podcast highlighting the underutilized forms of water. Instead of rivers and oceans, we focus on plumbing, puddles, mist, and more. Created by Daisy McNamara and produced by Law of Names Media and Sublitoral Sounds.
Thanks to our sponsor, Dado's Better Tomorrow Pill. Dado have made good judgments in past and future. New Dado pill full of vice and will transform you completely. Elect to take today for irreversible trend that could still change. Content, then hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, that's what the algorithm likes, and it would really help us get the word out about what's going on in the SCP community. If you want to support us beyond that, you can sponsor the show at patreon.com/scpweekly for as little as $2 a month.
And now, in off-site news. In the world of YouTube, longtime content creator Mr. Illustrated, formerly SCP Illustrated, is very close to reaching that glorious milestone of 1 million subscribers on YouTube. As of recording, he currently sits at less than 3,000 subs away from his goal. For those unaware, Illustrated is a very talented artist who has created numerous videos adapting various SCPs, as well as some originals with authors like Dr. Sumerian. He utilizes his artistic skills by giving some genuinely incredible illustrations for viewers to enjoy. He's currently finishing up a multi-part remaster of one of his earliest videos on SCP-610, The Flesh That Hates, and in the past year did a near 3-hour-long miniseries adaptation of SCP-1730, What Happened to Site-13. He's a truly amazing creator and genuinely a lovely person, so please go subscribe to him if you aren't. Link to his channel will be in the show notes.
Dr. Maxwell has recently released a new video adapting SCP-8595, Everyone's a Critic by Plague PJP. The Foundation has contained a sapient cockroach that fancies itself to be a high-end restaurant critic and go through several attempts in order to fully understand what the anomaly is wanting in a meal. Oddly enough, he appears to sound like regular human bartender Jackie Daytona, sounding all fancy and Europe-like.
Well, that's just the way they talk in Tucson, Arizona.
Maxwell is a hard-working creator who makes genuinely amazing content for this community. The link to his video will be in the show notes. Nolan, tell us about your experiences working in that production.
Yes, if you couldn't tell, I am the cockroach, which is exactly like my real life.
That's just going to that Burt Kreischer stand. I am the machine. I am the cockroach.
I am the one who knocks.
I am the cuckoo-choo, motherfucker.
But yeah, it's a great experience for me right now. I'm, thanks to friends like Kelsey and Maxwell, I'm actually able to do a lot more experience with voice acting. It's something I've really been wanting to try to work in more for a while now. I hadn't had, the availability to, get proper equipment and everything, but, because these two motherfuckers, that's now becoming more of a reality. And Maxwell graciously allowed me to be in this video, to be the, restaurant cockroach of... Like, fun fact, when recording for this, I knew that from the way it was written, I had to sound like the douchiest Yelp reviewer possible. But by the time I was finished and I was listening to my recording, I realized I just made myself sound like Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows. And Maxwell fucking loved that. And so he's like, no, we're keeping that.
We're keeping
that.
Let's play. I'm going to pull a clip. Let's play a clip.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what clip we're going to play, but yeah.
Mal offers a seasonal chef's menu, which I attempted to indulge in. The first course, a twist on nachos, as it was described to me, was tortilla triangles, fried and seasoned with a spice mix. The chips were cold as if they had never touched oil, but punched me with a lot of flavor. This was my favorite dish, specifically for the odd blue seasoning a few chips had sprinkled on them.
Footnote 4. Mold.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, it's... it was fun to do. I hope that I get to do more videos like that with Maxwell in the future. Just do more, voiceover working content in general in the future. I know that, I forget, did we talk about this last episode about Unredacted?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for those unaware, I am now the new voice of SCP Unredacted. It's not the only thing that Kelsey has been dethroned from. So I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kelsey, he is still working with the show. He's still editing all the videos because I can't, edit for shit. But I am going to be the new main / narrating voice for the show going forward. And we've got, some good episodes in the lineup for the future. And we really hope you guys enjoy what we've got cooking.
Yeah. Yep. And that really frees me up to be more of an editor, which that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be an editor.
What you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah. That's what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah. And now,
podcast. Yeah.
In the world of, and in the world of podcasts, SCP Archives continues their ABCs of Death season with the start of a 3-part episode. They are covering SCP-7603, P is for Pluto, previously, presently Primrose, by Fantem. Part 2 will release alongside this episode on August 8th, with Part 3 releasing on August 15th, my birthday. New episodes will release every Thursday going forward. Go subscribe to SCP Archives on Spotify and wherever podcasts are played. Link is in the show notes. And I know that Kelsey is sad that he's no longer Phantom's favorite.
I'm excited about these guys doing PS for Primrose because they're going to dramatize it and do all that. But I'll still say I did it in one shot. I didn't need to split it up into 3 episodes. So Still nobody's done that.
Yeah, nobody's done that. Still on top for some things.
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta take what you got. Confinement Comics launched the Kickstarter for issue number 4 this week. Koshi, the series' artist, announced that this issue will diverge from the original plot into original content that in response to reader feedback, the issue will be longer than the first 3. Confinement Comics ships internationally. The link to issue 4's Kickstarter is in the show notes. And now for our guest. Nobody. Sadly, we do not have a guest for you this week. We had Dr. Leonard lined up. We were going to talk about mythology and folkloristics, but they had some last-minute priorities to attend to. So we're still recovering from Cactus anyway. Just ask Cassie. But check out our next episode for our next guest. And if you'd like to be interviewed on the show, reach out to us on Twitter or through email. However, we will go through last week's fact or myth graciously given to us by Cactus.
Oh, yes. Last week, Cactus told us, I am the oldest of 3 boys, or I once accidentally slapped Katy Perry on the ass.
Very stressed, very much accidentally.
Accidental. Air quotes, accidental. We actually had a unanimous agreement of all of us thinking that it was Katy Perry.
Twitter too.
And we weren't the only. Yeah, we weren't the only ones. Out of almost 70 votes, which I think is the biggest amount of votes we've gotten for a poll so far, on our Twitter, 75% of you voted that it was a big butt accident, with the remaining 25% only thinking that it was the big bro. Cactus did give us an answer, but it is quite a long one that I will now read verbatim. LMAO, everyone got baited. TLDR, it was very close. I was performing the Super Bowl, Giants versus Patriots in Indianapolis, pregame show with the Indiana University Marching 100 in the drum line. And as we were running onto the field, someone off to the side of us was giving out low fives as we were running by. I had a bass drum on and couldn't see very well, but stuck my hand out anyway and held it there a little too long afterwards. At which point I realized I was about to hit someone on the ass with my open hand. That person was Katy Perry, who was waiting to go into the stadium in a blue sequined Giants jersey. I pulled my hand back just in the nick of time, but the trumpets behind me saw it, and forever afterwards, I was the man who almost slapped Katy Perry on the ass. It really couldn't have been more than a couple of inches, and I was mid-stride as it happened. It was only luck guiding my hand that day. Well,
So
lucky for Cactus.
The truth is, he is the big bro.
Yeah, the truth is he is the big bro, and now Cactus doesn't have to get canceled for accidentally slapping someone on the ass not consensually. But now, do we have mail? Yeah, we do. We've got a few messages from you guys. We're going to read out first from Twitter. Mankind may have authority over the earth, but that's limited to just the land. We have no power over the vast oceans. Out there may as well be alien worlds to us, for we don't belong. Ask anyone who's been out there, and they'll tell you. From Fern.
We love you, Fern. Our thoughts are with you. We know what you're going through. If you need anything, reach out, brother.
We love you, Feichel. Wiki needs to make another Wrathcon type shit, but the twist is the most downvoted gets to be immortalized in the Hall of Shame with no chance to be edited nor deleted. From Dre. I actually kind of like this one.
Downvote con.
Downvote con. Shame con.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And Steve. God was lonely and needed a bro to chill with after a hard day making stuff. Steve's only responsibility was to have the beer stocked in the fridge. That's why Steve never showed up in any religious texts. From Phyrexian Hollow.
We all need a
Yeah.
Steve. From the email, hey, Nerf or Nothings. Hope y'all are kicking ad. Maybe meant to say kicking ass, but no one
Or ads, we don't know.
Yeah. Taking names and chewing the bubble gum. I know I am, because confidence and tacos. Question: if you could have one actor replace any other in a movie, who would you and which movie? Me, it's got to be Hugo Weaving replaced by Kermit the Frog in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Anyways, I got to find the doppelganger hiding in this tub of macaroni and cheese by Hollow. If you could have any actor replace any movie, who would you and which movie?
Honestly, I am not sure. My immediate thought was like a serious, not a specific movie, but like a serious war film with two main characters who are soldiers with conflicting morality. One who genuinely wants to do the right thing, and the second who is really just embracing the war because he feels that he has nothing else back home for him. And the characters would be played by Mickey Mouse and Goofy. And that is only because of a YouTube video that is like an animated video of fucking Mickey Mouse and Goofy in the Vietnam War. I don't know if Kelsey has seen it, but I will make him watch it. Just fucking Mickey and Goofy like storming into an enemy base to get U.S. confidential files that were stolen. Goofy reading it and finding that the government had done some really shady shit and wanting to leak that to the press so that all support for the war would disappear and they could go home. But Mickey not wanting to go home because the war is all he knows now and there's nothing to go back home for. With ultimately Mickey betraying Goofy by shooting and killing him and taking the documents and destroying them.
I was gonna say which one is the most war torn. Like, wouldn't it be the Goofy with 1,000-yard stare? The Goofy just turning into an insatiable war killer.
No, it's Mickey. That's that. But the thing is, they made a sequel to that, and it's so fucking good. They even make the reason of them being like fucking Disney characters, like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, actually like a reason why, like fitting into the story.
Oh shit!
And it's actually really genius in a way.
Link me to this.
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna make us watch this
when you first said like your synopsis and then the Mickey and Goofy, I immediately thought George and Lenny from Of Mice and Men, but Mickey and Goofy. Oh my god. For me, Gilbert Gottfried replacing James Earl Jones as Darth Vader in Star Wars. Think about it.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
And that's all we have for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank our patrons, Arsfel, Lack of Lepers, Ian Anderson, and Evan McDonnell for supporting us at patreon.com/SCP Weekly. Your support helps us keep the lights on. Intro and outro music was caught you at the perfect time by Superintendent McCupcakes. Thanks to all our listeners for spending time with us. SCP Weekly is distributed by Smooth Cadence Productions. SCP Weekly is not affiliated with the SCP Foundation Wiki, and as such, the opinions presented in this program are our own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Wiki or its staff.
Music is provided by Epidemic Sound.
Content relating to the SCP Foundation, including the SCP Foundation logo, is licensed under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0, and all concepts originate from the SCP Wiki and its authors. This recording, being derived from this content, is also released under CC by SA 3.0. Until next time, I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Nolan, the K is silent. And this was SCP Weekly.
Us two in these trees, diamonds on my feet, caught up in these talks, circling my head top. Should've been more cautious. Now I got what I wanted. Many I've been here before, made it out of 11 more. Like my frontal cortex, so I can't stop. I want it all. Listen up, I'm calling you. I need you to tell the truth. Remember when you wanted to. Remember that I said what you. Turn and eat your greens. When you fight, but you do it real clean. Then you come to the bed and you lot feel dirty. Everybody sweater drops, you're real keen. Then you let me get your juiciest piece. Can't remember when I had the same piece. The shops at the club never had no boundaries. How's it gonna be? You wanna eat these centipedes? Where we gonna go? You're gonna need these calories. Giving me a treat to refill these batteries. Then you only them on your knees, there's no way to dream. Ooh, it's sneaking up on you. There's nothing you can do. There's things about the